Started with Coach Shell. That's a question. We'll start with Max Boltman.
Jeff, what made you decide to call up Bradstrom over one of the other options?
I'm trying to think of the other options.
I think it was Paul.
Oh,
Or just really just like what do you see in Bradstrom?
yeah, because I was gonna say we're kind of
Yeah, I know.
we're you know, in the order of whatever. Bradstrom was next, and that's kind of where we're at right now. You know, I think he's had growth from the beginning of the year. To say that you know, that I can speak to it unbelievable, that would not be true. But just listening to you know, Ben Simon, listening to Jeff Saleko, who speaks with Brian Mahoney-Wilson, their goalie coach, listening to you know, Steve talk. I think he's had growth, you know. So ultimately, I thought he was pretty good in training camp. He's a big guy. If he can play his size well, I think that's important. I think, you know, just watching him today, he's learned to play the puck a little bit better, which I think was an area he could improve in. So
I don't know if you'll see Shesterkin tonight, but the season that he's having, you don't usually hear goalies like too high up in MVP conversations. But do you think he's merited that based on how he's played this year?
you know, I haven't looked at the stats in a little bit, but at one point, his save percentage above expected was like 30% above, which was number one in the league by a lot, you know, and now they have a good team. So I don't want to downgrade the rest of them, but he's outstanding. I don't know why goalies wouldn't be part of the MVP conversation more. I understand there's a different trophy, but there is for other players too. I would say he's had a huge impact on their team. He's an excellent goalie. I don't think we'll see him tonight, but he's an excellent goalie. One of the very, very top couple in the league. Obviously, Vasilevsky has been that. You know, Carey Price when he's healthy has certainly been one of those, but he is right there with any of those guys. And he looks like it's not something that won't hold the test of time. I mean, he's really, really good.
Thanks.
Yep.
Daniel Bruce.
Coach didn't see Dylan out there this morning. Is he okay?
Yeah, I expect him to be ready for tonight.
Awesome. And then you mentioned the Rangers are a good team. Obviously, they made some nice additions at the trade deadline too. And they've won 3 straight. They're playing well. Kind of what you guys are going to have to do, and you know the kind of team they are.
We'll start with their team. You know, I think the additions they made probably addressed the area they needed, which was depth up front. They've you know, had some real high end lines. Obviously, any line Panarin's on is going to be a great line. Zibanejad, Kreider having great seasons. You know, Frankie Verchano's fit in there really well. Andrew Kopp's a great player in my mind, just a really good two-way player. You know, so now with Strome and Panarin and Kopp, if Strome's healthy, that gives you, you know, 2 real good lines, but also there's more depth throughout the lineup now. So that makes them, I would say, prepares them to be more formidable as they go through the rest of the year into the playoffs. They're a team that can produce offense. I think at times you can create some chances against them, but you know, Shesterkin and Georgiev have both been good. Certainly Shesterkin's carried the workload there, but Georgiev's had some really good games. You just have to be very good in your D zone. They're I think one of the top rated O zone teams by our standard. And they're also really good on the rush. So you just have to and then you got to stay out of the box because their power play is really good.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Ted Colton.
Hey, Jeff, Adam Ernie had a pretty good offensive season last year. He showed glimpses of, well, maybe, you know, he had that sort of potential. It seems like it's kind of gone backward here this season. He's got some opportunities. He's had opportunities. You know, you've given him some good opportunities. What do you think's been a difference here this year around?
Well, I think one of the things that's you know, separates the great players is they're able to do it every year. I think it's really hard for most players, I don't care who you are, to year in and year out to produce to your, you know, kind of ceiling. Like that's really difficult. And Adam, it just hasn't, you know, last year I think he gained confidence as he scored. And you know, it hasn't gone in for him this year, and so that hurts your confidence, just the reality of it. And I think confidence is a huge deal for all players. So, you know, it's just one of those years right now where it hasn't gone in easy for him. Last year, you know, he earned his ice time and it went in for him. It hasn't this year. I don't have a better, you know, explanation than that. That's the reality sometimes. You know, we needed Adam to make sure, and he's done a good job of this. He's worked, he's checked. So we can still help you win a hockey game without scoring. And I think that's really important for guys that are probably going to fluctuate at different times through their career. Vladimir Nemestikov, who obviously we traded Dallas, is another player that I think, his production can fluctuate, but if you check well, you always have a place on a team, and then those guys can help you win.
Sounds good. That's good. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Wayne St. James.
Jeff, with regards to Blashill, is the anticipation Grice will be available Friday, or kind of what's the outlook?
We'll take today as it comes. I certainly would not rule Grice out for Friday. I think there's a definite possibility that he'll be available, but we'll take today as it comes, and we'll see what tomorrow brings.
And just, with regards to the Griffins, what kind of feedback have you gotten about Berggren?
Berggren?
Yeah.
I think Berggren's growing through the course of the year. I think the biggest challenge for a guy like Jonathan is he's an offensive guy that has to make sure that he can produce offense in the North American game. Probably the biggest challenge to that is playing faster and getting to the inside. Those are two things that I know that our development staff, that our American League staff, and that I've told them. And I think he's growing in that area. I think his defensive responsibility, from what I've heard, is growing. So I think those are all positive things. I think he's in a great setting to grow. That's what the American League's for, and hopefully he continues to grow.
I remember 2 years ago, before everything shut down, there was speculation about, are you guys going to maybe take a look at Moritz Seider in the short window that was left? And now, kind of with Berggren, I mean, is there a desire to look at him up here, or is he better off staying with Grand Rapids and helping them?
Well, let's start by first hoping it doesn't shut down.
No, but you know what I mean? Like
that's a
before,
problem, right?
there was a conversation before everything shut down that, hey, this is a guy who belongs in the, or has a future in the program.
Yeah, well, I think, to be honest with you, Helene, most of those conversations come from you guys wanting to get a look at a young player, which I get. And certainly in Moritz Seider's case, he was pushing as one of the better defensemen in the league as a young player. But ultimately, Steve makes those decisions based on what he thinks is best for the prospect. And there's a lot that goes into that. Sometimes giving them a taste that appears good, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's better to stay right in the environment you're in and just continue to focus on growing your game and allow that confidence to grow. So Steve will make that decision, and he'll work with his management staff to decide what they think is best for Jonathan.
Just lastly, anything on McIsaac? What have you heard there on Jared McIsaac?
I think he's had a tough go over the last couple of years with injuries. And to start the year, I think he started slow, and I think he's growing from there. And he's played pretty solid hockey, talking to our development staff and Ben Simon and his staff, and he's played pretty solid hockey. So I think there's been growth there as well. Again, I think part of his timeline got extremely adjusted probably when he has gone through the injuries that he's gone through, including in the prospects tournament this year. So it hasn't made it an easy time for him, but hopefully through these challenges, he's growing and continue to build that mental toughness it'll take to make it and be an impact player.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, those are all the questions we had this morning for Coach Blashill.